Okay, great. All right, are you ready? Okay, and scene. Okay. Hello, I am Roxy Democracy, and welcome to the Democracy Report, where ghosting is the only form of messaging here. I am joined here with Patti and Lee of ParaVizionz, and we're going to talk ghosts. We're going to talk ghouls.
Heck yes.
We're going to talk EMF readers.
That's right.
And the other things I can pull from the 3 video games I've played that hopefully relate to what you guys actually do. So, starting off, tell me about yourselves.
Well, thank you for having us. We love to get out and spread the word about paranormal investigating and the fun we have doing it. Like you said, my name is Patti Allen, part of ParaVizionz Paranormal. We're based in Trenton, Ohio, and Lee is my husband. We met due to paranormal activity. So,
Was that the first movie or the second? I think they're
it
like
was
9
like the
now.
prequel.
Oh.
Yeah.
no. Okay. Lee.
Hello, my name is Lee Allen. I'm based out of Cincinnati, born and raised here, and I've been involved in the paranormal since 1998. So
Okay.
I'm a pioneer to the field.
That was a good year, 1998. I was born for a year. Close enough.
Yep.
Yes.
And what brought me into the field is losing my son. He had hypoplastic left heart, and he passed away 2 weeks after he was born. And then a month later, I started experiencing the shadow. And the shadow was not like, could it be him? Because it was a 3-foot shadow. And the shadow would come to me all the time. Back then, Baby Looney Tunes was a big thing. So his nursery was set up as Baby Looney Tunes. Getting out of the shower, I'm getting ready to go play golf one Saturday morning, and all of a sudden I'm hearing the mobile, which is the Disney, the Baby Looney Tunes song. It's playing backwards. I'm like, that's coming from his nursery. So I get dressed, I go out, and I open the door, and it's still playing. I'm barely open the door, and you can see his mobile moving. Nobody's in the room. I go in, I stop it, and I'm slowly looking around. And he had a big walk-in closet, and I was just at that moment thinking, there's going to be something standing in that doorway. And sure enough, nothing. But that second, I felt like, follow your gut, back out. You don't know what's going on, close the door. Go play golf. Friends are like, dude, you're not up to you. What's going on today? And I explained. I was like, I don't know what to do, man. I said, I think there's a ghost in my house. I said, he goes, what? And I was like, yeah. So then a few months later, started seeing this little shadow. So I reached out to find out what's going on. So, grieving, found this Yahoo group for grieving for men. This guy in it, he lost his kid. He says, I said, what do you do for fun? And he goes, I hunt ghosts. And I'm like, you do? I said, that's so weird you brought that up. And I explained my story. And he got me involved. And it was ever since I started my team, ParaVizionz Paranormal, in 2002. And a little bit before that, my daughter was born. Her name was Caitlin, and she was born with imperforated anus. So she went through 53 surgeries, inpatient, outpatient surgeries, and she passed away May of '05. So I've lost 2 kids. So then I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing paranormal. Is this where I really need to be? Because is someone upstairs telling me that back off, you're not supposed to be doing this? So I did. I stopped for like a month. Grew up Baptist. I went to my church, and the pastor at the end of the service shakes hands. He says, hey, I want to talk to you a second. I was like, okay. And he goes, I'm very, very fascinated with your work. And I'm thinking my daytime job. He's talking about ghosts. He goes, the way you talk about it is like, you're not talking dark, like demonic. You're talking positive, pulling people out of the dark and showing them that everything is not paranormal. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, I explained. I'm thinking of walking away. And he goes, no. God's telling me to tell you, you need to do this. This is a mission to help people in the world. And so it just took off. And we've been going strong since 2002. And
So just a couple years. It's a new business, essentially. Yeah.
Absolutely.
2, 3, 4 years.
Absolutely.
2 decades. Shoot. Well, that was like immediately heavy.
Yes.
But
yeah, it's hard.
But understandably,
Yeah.
of course.
We like to go in intense right away.
Right.
You got to.
Yeah, and then
Pull sleeves
we'll level
up.
off at some point. No.
The interesting thing is, when Lee and I met, and that was, we met in 2011. As we got to know each other, I was a single parent at the time. And, as we got to know each other, we learned that my son was also born in 98. My daughter was also born in 2000. And my son's nursery was also Baby Looney Tunes. So, there were just all these parallels that something seemed to have drawn us together.
Yeah, right.
And, we definitely...
It felt like too much to be like correlation.
Yes.
Just like general, like, oh yeah, because everyone loved Looney Tunes. I'm like,
I know.
She had a lot of things going on in her house, and a friend of mine that does paranormal, he had his own team. And he's like, hey, I need a second opinion because you've been doing this a lot longer. And he goes, I feel sorry. This lady, she has 2 kids, and they're terrified. And as soon as she mentioned kids, that touches my heart because losing 2 kids. Yeah. So I focused. And, of course, I didn't get to investigate her house when I wanted to, but I sent my team.
Gotcha.
And
they were they were kind of like your wingman for what was.
Yeah, because I had something major that I was doing, and I will share that I was doing a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, gotcha.
I got to do a Super Bowl commercial with Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson.
Oh, God.
They're both diabetic.
Gotcha.
And they made a cookbook. And it's about eating chicken wings and things. And I'm like, whoa, so here I am, this little white boy sitting at this table eating these chicken wings, and I've got hot sauce all over my face. Their sauce that they made. And they're over me, like, getting ready. I was like, please do not hit me. Please, just don't accidentally hit me. So then I was like, guys, I want to do the reveal. So that's when I met Patti. And it was just like, whoa. That moment on the beach, running to each other. She came around the corner of the refrigerator. I was like, holy smokes.
You're like, ghost, I just saw an angel. No.
Exactly. Holy crap.
Talking about demonology. No, the angels are here. No.
Night and day. It's like, whoa.
Yep.
Could you imagine how unprofessional it would be to be mid-podcast episode and you haven't silenced your phone?
I cannot imagine.
Could you imagine how rude it would be to not silence your cell phone when you're filming a podcast,
yes,
and then
please.
your boyfriend calls you during the podcast?
That's mine.
It's all right.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Does that mean that you're driving to my house? Okay, it sounds like a plan. I'm gonna go because we're filming right now, and you're live on the air. So I'll tell everyone you said hi and that you're bringing cookies, so it's okay.
We're going to stall so we
All
get
right.
cookies.
All right, babe. I'm gonna talk to you soon. Okay. All right. Bye bye. I pick up the phone and my boyfriend just goes, "I got the cookies." And
I was excited.
I'm like, great. I was on the phone with you 15 minutes ago, and I said, we're about to walk into the studio.
That's how this one is.
Yeah, same way, sorry.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yesterday, honey, I have a meeting at 10 o'clock. Like 10:06, my phone rings.
Yeah, and I forgot. I was like, I hung up.
I told you I had a meeting at 10.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, men.
Yeah.
It happens. Hi, friends. Roxy here. We have a fabulous partnership with Reptiboxes. They are a proud sponsor of this podcast. And if you go to their website and use code The Democracy Report, you can get 10% off your order of some of the cutest little boxes for your scaly friend. What this company does is they essentially make hammocks, pillows, blankets, little hats, all sorts of stuff for your bearded dragon, your leopard gecko, your blue-tongued skink, whatever it is, and they ship it right to your door. This is a local to Ohio company. They make all of their stuff in-house. It is super cute. And they support me, which is my favorite charity. So once again, go to reptiboxes.com, or you go to their Instagram. They have a link in their bio. And please support this company and use code Democracy Report at checkout for 10%. Thank you so much, Reptiboxes, for being a proud sponsor of the Democracy Report. And back to the episode. Okay, so where were we? So you were on the beach. There's this angel. We're solving ghosts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So
the angel is Patti.
We went real high, and it was like I walked into a church, and I had to be healed. And the preacher came, he's like, and then bam, there she was. And so, we did the reveal, and it was fascinating to hear what her story was, because being an empath / medium, whatever you guys want to call it, I pick up on those things. And I could tell she was very sincere because now there's so many paranormal shows out there that people want to be heard. They want their house to be on TV. They want the paranormal. And I'm like, you don't want this in your home, especially if you have a family.
Right.
So, but she was very sincere and concerned about her kids because they did not want to sleep in their bedrooms. And so they did a really good job. They gathered some information, shared some stuff that shouldn't have been done. And we came back and did a thorough, I was like, I want to come back. And so we did, and we captured some amazing things, especially in both bedrooms, the kids' bedrooms. And we just started talking from there, right? And it was on, and then we became an item. And then I was like, hey, I really like the way you're just like straight, and you're intrigued into the paranormal. I says, I would love to have you join us.
Oh.
And she said, absolutely.
And that's when she became an I-9 employee. No.
Yep.
No, I was
hey,
just
volunteer.
Yeah.
So my knowledge of the paranormal truly springs from both the in the 70s and 80s, the couple that
And Lorraine Warren?
Yes, I have two of their books. I have like The Demonologist, which I've read some, and then just like me playing games, and then watching movies, The Conjuring, Sinister, all this stuff that probably skews and glorifies, but also like, I don't know, probably exaggerates. And
A little bit
I mean,
of
as a
Hollywood.
drag queen, I don't understand exaggeration. I would never. It's a hard subtlety. I feel like it's kind of the mission here. But talking about like when someone is deceased and like having saying that like you saw like the 3-foot figure and that kind of stuff. From my like experiences, both like I think we've all had like kind of suspicious-y, like this doesn't seem normal vibes or things that have happened over the course of the years. Of course, happens to all of us, whether they are paranormal or just coincidence, whatever the case may be. But I've always seen where like when someone passes away, there's almost like a void, and that's when like other spirits can come to that scenario that don't necessarily. Basically, if you have a loved one who passes away and then you start seeing something, it's most likely not the person that passed away. If it was like a grandparent or a kid, doesn't really matter. Is that kind of what you guys kind of get?
Yeah, we do get that, because I was like, you can't always think that it is a loved one. Because if you go back into the Bible and you talk to people, Christians, and they say, well, everything that walks the earth is not good, because the angels fell from heaven, and the ones that fell is the ones that roam the earth. And I'm like, you can't believe that either. And I love to debate with Christians, because if you believe in him, you got to believe in this guy below. So why not believe in the paranormal? I mean, it's spiritual.
And also, we have had a case recently in the Dayton area where this young lady was, she was shot by her partner. He then proceeded to move her to make it look as though she accidentally shot herself in the back.
Well, yeah, she's telling us this, and as being in the paranormal, you become an investigator. So as people are asking us questions, we get into like a detective mode.
Yes.
How long were you laying there on the floor?
Right.
And she said she was there for a long time before he called 911. He didn't call no family. He didn't know. He went downstairs and ate a sandwich or
He
something.
kind of like made his story, and then he called.
Then he finally called.
But
after he moved her around,
And my point is, she did actually end up coding, and she was revived. Well, sadly she's now paralyzed from the chest down, and she does have 2 children. But since her revival, so to speak, she seems to have developed a psychic gift where she can now see and hear spirits. And, on top of dealing with this paralysis and the trauma and everything else, because this only happened a year ago, the family proceeded to call us for help. She doesn't know how to deal with the intrusion of spirits. Also, they were a little skeptical, okay, it seems to be my grandpa, but what if it isn't?
Right.
And of course, we've seen that before. Spirits do like to mimic, so they can kind of come in. And all that to say, my point is, what I think is, something in her opened up to the spiritual world. And if you've ever seen the movie Ghost, which is definitely before your time.
Patty, are you trying to tell me I'm young?
I am.
Is that what you're saying? Are you saying?
You're welcome.
Are you saying with a picture of youth? Is that what you're saying?
I was just saying, everybody knows Patrick Swayze.
I know.
Speaking of Patrick Swayze, because I feel like y'all straight people, everyone loves Patrick Swayze, my parents included. Do you know that Patrick Swayze did a movie with Wesley Snipes called Tu Wong Fu? Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, where they dressed as drag queens in like the very late 80s or early 90s?
Yes.
Yep.
If you mentioned Patrick Swayze, could I name you a single other movie for Patrick Swayze? No. But I do remember when he wore a wig.
I can see why.
I digress. Back to your story.
Yes. All I was trying to relate to is the fact that in that movie, when Whoopi Goldberg realizes that her gift as a psychic is indeed real, suddenly, you see these lines of dead people waiting to talk to her, waiting for her to acknowledge.
I have seen this movie. Okay.
See?
Okay, keep on. Sorry. It took me a second.
And so that's what I think has happened to this young lady that's looking for help is now all these spirits out there
She's
lurking around realize, hey, she can see us. And they just kind of bombard her.
Right. Well, we always talk about, like, whether you're talking in a religious aspect or just, like, spiritual or whatever, that, like, when we're close to, birth, death, there's, like, the layer between us and, like, the spirits, it gets thinner and thinner.
Yep.
And she basically died. So she walked over. She took an Airbnb to the spirit world.
Absolutely.
Came on back, basically.
Came back.
She did, yes.
And with a little bit of extra.
With a little bit of extra,
Yes.
yeah. So she didn't check for bed bugs in the hotel.
No, because some of the things that she was describing, and she says there's something over by my bed, and so we're over there in that area. And what I felt right away, and I looked at Patti before I told them, is I was like, this poor girl, excuse me, this is like an open door of like a line of spirits because she could see them and they can see me. And there was a lady standing there and she was in a gown. She was barefoot and she was crying. And she described this right after I told Patti. She said, yeah. She said, this woman is constantly, I don't know if she's crying or if she's screaming. And I'm like, okay. I says, I get it now. Yes. Your battery to the afterlife.
Is that also called a conduit? Is that the word?
It's a conduit that just keeps going, and she's one now. She's on that side, and I shook her hand. I said, "Welcome to my side," and which I never experienced what she went through, and so I was like, "Yeah, you're constantly going to get that. You just need to figure out how to deal with it." And I was like, at bedtime, you say, "Hey, this is my time. Leave me alone," because I constantly get woke up. And I get woke up not just from the dead, but from the living.
Not me.
They come to me and those, just like your dad. She was watching TV. I was sound asleep. I woke up and I was like, she said, what are you looking for? And I'm looking under the bed. I'm looking under the blankets. And I never call the remote control a clicker. I was like, would you find the damn clicker? He is driving me crazy. He is fighting with your mother. And her mother has passed. So I saw both of them. And she goes, wait a minute. And I said, yeah, your dad. And I says, and then I described him. And she says, I said, you need to call him. And so she didn't until the next day. And found out that he was having some problems. And so that is a different world. We all live in this world. But when you can see and feel and hear things.
Right.
And you can back it up with just using like a recorder or somebody else can hear and see what you're saying. Or it's
pretty cool.
It's
pretty cool.
And especially do not do it if you're drinking, because my ability opens up big time when I'm drinking. I was like, whoa, I got to not see those people over there because I'm picking up their vibes and picking up their energy.
Right.
Then he wants to go talk to them, and it's a whole thing. And I'm like, oh, dear Lord.
Yeah.
It's like you have your friends that, like, when they get drunk, they're like, I want to run somewhere. And then they run downtown. You're like, come back. Lee's over here like, guys, gotta talk to this lady.
He's giving readings, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Well, yeah, just because I did one, remember we had Curtis, my friend, and we were at the local sports grill, and this lady, our waitress, she came over and we were drinking, and she came with us an extra shot, and we're shooting pool, and I was like, I know what you're going through. And she goes, excuse me? And she just walks away, and then she come back and she goes, how do you know what I'm going through? I said, my little spidey senses are telling me something about you with the cook back there when you got a husband. And she goes, she just breaks down and she cries.
Right.
I don't know what to do.
Right.
Follow your gut. If you're not happy at home, follow your gut.
I think the gut feeling, I feel like, is a legitimate thing. I know, like, in my one of my I mean, I'm not single anymore, but one of my like favorite like date questions, not for the first date, maybe, or at least like 45 minutes into the date, was always like, how many dead bodies have you seen in your life? Because I always think it's an interesting
Sure.
And I was like, for me, I said 4. I said, and every time I've discovered a dead body, I said it's almost like 4 hours leading up to that. There's this sense of dread that I feel, and then all of a sudden, you find it. You know, I think it's actually a kind of horrendous story, but I think I was 19 doing a drag show at Main Event in Cincinnati, Ohio, which doesn't get out till like 2 a.m. So you're driving home, like, by the time you actually get home, the sun's coming up in an hour. But the whole night, I was like, I didn't want to do the show. I had this really bad feeling something bad was going to happen. And the whole show, the same thing, was just like dread. And I got in the car, I was like, God, what is going on? And on my way home, and mind you, I am in a wig, full makeup, a tank top and shorts. I took everything else off. But, you know, I said, if I have to go through the McDonald's drive-thru, I want them to see the makeup. I want attention. But, you know, this feeling of dread, and, you know, suddenly I'm coming up, I'm not going to dox myself, but coming towards where my family at the time, where I lived with my parents, and I see there's a car that has slammed into a tree, and I found the guy was dead. He must have died on impact, either overdose or something, and I had to call the cops, and the cops had to show up, and I had to be like...
And this has happened to you 4 times?
Well, this is the dramatic.
Oh.
The other 3 times were all, basically, you know, cops show up, pronounce the body dead at the scene. I'm like, if you need anything, here's my information. I need to go to bed because I'm in a full face of makeup. It's 4:30 a.m. My house is 2 houses down. And it was funny. I, you know, finally walk inside. I think it's probably almost 5 a.m. My dad wakes up at 6 to go to work. And I just leave a sticky note on the door. It says, found a dead body last night at the cops call. Just wake me up.
Just wake me up.
But, and the other 3 times were when I was a server. At first, just big boy. And same thing, horrendous dread. And one of our customers dies at that. Well, 2 of the times it was someone dying there. And the other one was someone who was a coworker of mine. First, this is a second chance restaurant. They hire felons, and someone OD'd in the bathroom. And it was the same thing where, like, the whole day you're like, God, what is this feeling of dread that I feel? And you start associating that. So, like...
So it's your abilities are open, and that's what I'm picking up.
But just...
Yeah. It's not it's not something, man, I
Right.
just can't wait for the next dread.
Right. Well, thankfully, it's been many a years since then. But, like, since, you know, those couple instances, when I get a weird feeling, I'm like, we're going to go a different direction, or I think it's time to head home.
Right.
Because that feeling, I'm like, is that feeling something that my actions could contribute to? Thankfully, it never has. It's always been, I find somebody or someone finishes their bowl of soup. At first, it's big boy. So it was wild. But
wow. Yeah.
I feel like everyone, like, I mean, I talked to my parents, you talk to friends, like, everyone has these, like, a gut feeling about something.
Oh, yeah.
It could just be like work, you know, but sometimes it's more deeper stuff.
Well, when we do our ghost classes, I always tell people, you know, we have peripherals. We see things, just think full spectrum, seeing things full spectrum, where you see the full rainbow, not just part of what we see. But people these days, they walk around like this, where they don't want to see the peripherals, right? Because everybody's living a fast life. Just for instance, you know, I always share this. I was in a drive-thru ordering food for lunch, and the guy behind me's beeping. Whoa, buddy. They haven't even came to the microphone yet. You know, so it's just like we live in a fast world. So when people say, well, why do you guys investigate at night? Well, that's when we investigate, because everybody's so busy during the day you won't be able to hear things. So at night, the ions in the air, the energy is calm, it's lower.
So these low frequency
Yes.
of the afterlife,
Yeah.
they're able to be noticed more prominent versus
And then you're going to see more.
Gotcha.
And you're going to hear more, because I tell you what, everybody that gets involved into the paranormal, give it a year, because you're wanting to hear something. Then you go over your audio recordings with your head, so you're coming in tuned, right? So your abilities open up, and so many people. And Patty's the same way now. She's like, you hear that, and we take people that's never investigated. They come with us, and we're like, did you hear that? And they're like, what are you guys hearing? We can't hear that. And they get upset, and I'm like, sorry, we're hearing things that we hear because our ears open.
Right. And the good thing is, luckily, we have equipment that backs that up.
Right.
Lee mentioned our
EMF
voice
readers, temperature.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got thermal imaging.
Yep.
Do you guys got the dots thing with the green dots?
Yep.
Is that a
Oh,
thing?
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
and what we do, we put that out like in a hallway, because if you want to see a shadow, it'll break those dots.
Gotcha.
And you got your camera up and your video in this. That's really cool stuff.
So we've talked about a case in Dayton. Of course, we're in Ohio, guys. Not to break the fourth wall. We are in Ohio.
Yeah, we
We're
talked
in
about
the-
Cincinnati. We talked about Dayton.
So you guys, what range of space do you guys actually cover then?
It depends how serious
We'll travel.
the potential case is. I'm from New Jersey. We have gone home to New Jersey.
I'm sorry to hear.
Absolutely
No,
not.
I-
No.
I'm kidding. I've been to the Newark airport. That's my only experience.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's why then everybody thinks
Yes.
New Jersey's bad.
No, I'm from a very
Or Jersey
beautiful part.
Shore.
Oh, yeah.
I'm from a beautiful area in New Jersey. And we have gone home to New Jersey for a case. Where else have we traveled? I mean, we travel.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
this is,
Pennsylvania, Gettysburg.
we do a lot in Kentucky.
But majority, when someone calls and asks, hey, what's your area? And especially if I do, because, we work with Tapp's Family, which is part of Ghost Hunters. That's on Travel Channel. And we do Midwest. So we cover Ohio, we cover Michigan, we cover Kentucky.
Gotcha.
If we have to go into West Virginia, we'll go into West Virginia. But we also, there's an Indiana team already.
Gotcha.
So, but we do go over to Indiana for just our own, fun investigations. Rent out a building that's haunted and it's got a lot of history. We'll go do those. So, but if somebody reaches out and says, hey, I would love for you guys to come to New Orleans. And if it's legit and we have time, we're going to go.
Right. Well, and I think New Orleans is like, isn't it one of the places that's like known to be like one of the most haunted places in America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we want to go there regardless.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe not around the March, May.
Right.
Wait, when's
The Mardi Gras?
Mardi Gras? Is that in May?
It's usually
That's
March, April.
March. Yeah, March and April. Yeah.
Have to get you some king
It's
cake.
long. Right there around the French Quarters is crazy.
Yep.
Well, we talked Ohio, and for the sake of the algorithms and people tuning in, you have to tell us something about Kentucky. Let's get into like a Kentucky case that you guys. Is there a Kentucky case that's
Yeah.
like, ooh, here's a good one?
Well, we were asked to come down by a tourism group and to do a group event at the time of, it was called the Wildcat Battlefield Reenactment. So this was a Civil War
London, Kentucky.
battle. Thank you, London, Kentucky. And so that weekend there was the reenactment, and then that night we were with a group of people who the tourism group used it as a fundraiser for them. To be very clear, we do not get paid for what we do.
Absolutely.
It is 100% financed by our own selves.
Gotcha.
So, we're down there in London.
I'm glad to know that you guys realized I was not going to pay you to be here.
Darn it!
I don't know
wasn't
if you.
gonna
I don't know if you saw the house when you pulled up
I was
in the
waiting for you to
windows.
slip me
There's no budget.
a little something.
No,
something.
and that's the thing. In the paranormal, it's not a proven science, so we're not going to charge for our services.
Right.
But there are teams out there that's been known to
Yes.
say, hey, we can come in and investigate your house, but it's going to cost you $300.
Right.
Ridiculous.
But, when people say, hey, we got to pay you something because you spent all night here, or we've came back and done a second investigation. And I'm like, you know what? We love food. Everybody's got to eat.
Right.
So if you want to cook as a meal one night, and we've had that.
Right.
So it's not like you're giving me money because, we work with historical societies and, they're all volunteers. So the money's tight. So any way they can get it. So we do ghost classes 3 times a year for Waynesville. And all that money helps the building. It helps the museum. So for windows, for new heating and air, all that
Repairs, yeah.
repairs.
But to complete my Kentucky story,
Sorry.
Um,
I immediately got off track.
that's okay, and Lee does too.
Oh yeah.
So, as I said, that evening we're with a group of people, and then we split our team into 2 groups as well. Actually, I think we had 3 that night. And so, my group, I had a skeptic, which is always a lot of fun, and I think that's healthy in the paranormal field. You know, we need people to be skeptical, because if everyone ran around just screaming, "Oh my gosh, it's a ghost!" like, we would get nothing done. So I've got this skeptic and his wife, and we are at help me out here. Where were we? That like a state park.
It was Wildcat.
Carter Caves.
Wildcat something.
Wildcat Battlefield.
And
We were up on the mountain,
yes,
and
so
you actually were in the actual battlegrounds where the actual battle took place.
and my skeptic, you know, he's like, yeah, okay.
He's a
whatever.
big guy, you know, an older
Yeah.
guy, and he even said it before he started. He goes, "I'm a skeptic," and he says, "My wife loves this stuff. I'm just here for her.
Right.
But I'm really interested in seeing what you guys get." So they went and investigated that location and share what you guys picked up.
Well, immediately we start hearing movement. Again, I'm very straightforward, and I'm like, guys, we're outside. You know, we've got to keep in mind critters, bugs, whatever. And we realized we are hearing much bigger movement than we should. And so my group is all huddled together. There's about 6 of us, I think. And now we realize we can see figures coming at us. And I'm going, okay, well, that's cool. And, you know, we knew where the other teams were, and we were specifically far apart, so this would not happen, so we wouldn't have contamination. And all of a sudden I hear, you know, some expletives, and my skeptic, I realize, is like breathing down my neck.
He
You know,
says,
like,
"Do you see
what
that?"
is that? Yeah. This giant guy is now huddled on top
Right.
of me.
You had a light on him, he'd be white as a ghost
Yes.
himself.
And immediately he was converted, so that was great.
Yeah, so when we took a break, because I said, okay, when we split the teams up into 3, because, you know, they paid for this ticket, so we split them up so everybody can enjoy it instead of all that one group in just one big group. So I was like, okay, let's meet back in about an hour and a half. So we all met back in the parking lot, and he come up to me and he goes, "Oh my God, you would never, ever imagine what we just experienced." And the Patti, she was over there talking. He just blurred. He says, "My God," he said, "we saw these soldiers coming up the hill. You could see their shadows." And he goes, "And that's exactly what they mentioned earlier today, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Cool." And I was like, "Well, hopefully we get a chance to go out there and do the same." And I said, "Well, what do you think now about the paranormal?" He goes, "Well, when I first came, I told you." He says, "But now I'm starting to believe that, yeah, he was doing this." He goes, "There is something that is called the unknown." I was like, "That's what I've told you." I was like, "You can't just say that it's a bear, it's deer." I was like, "No, because you go after it. You know, that's why we have thermals. We want to see the heat pop up, the coolness, whatever, you know." And I said, if it's cold, it can't be no deer, it can't be no bear.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, we also bring with us trigger objects. You know, lanterns that light up and play music, or, you know, other kind of static detectors that will light up.
Usually you want to, if you're investigating and you know the time frame of these spirits, you want to do something that they're familiar with, because we want to get on a personal level. So if I'm investigating a bar, and let's say it's 1970s, okay, I want to think what's popular in the 70s. I want to play 70s music that's in the bar. I want to get Little Kings, all this old beer that they drunk. I want to pop them open, put their aroma in the air. I want to light the cigarettes. That's trigger objects to draw these spirits out to communicate with us.
Gotcha.
So we're going to capture them on video, we're going to capture them on audio, and we're going to give our clients something to say, yeah, your bar, there is paranormal activity here.
And so for the Civil War reenactment, you just started firing guns off in the air?
Well,
Or you
luckily,
had a cannon.
the enactors had done that
They did.
earlier
Oh.
in the day.
So-
they had done all
okay.
that.
So-
So they stirred it up.
See, I was more joking.
No. So
Walk
we
into a desk pop real quick.
No, because during the day, they down the bottom of the mountain, they were doing the reenactments. So we got to watch that, and that was really cool. And I'm talking to the tourism group that actually we were with, and I'm like, what they're doing down here is stirring the activity up on the hill.
Mhm.
Because if there's spirits up there, they're really thinking somebody is coming back up the hill.
Gotcha.
And so he's like, good thinking. So when we were done, everybody wanted to go back to that area. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Well, these cars pulled in, and it was this family that was still dressed up from that time frame, Civil War. The son had a big, nice muzzle loader. And I'm like, you're not going to shoot that, are you? He says, I can. And I'm like, no, just carry it.
Yeah,
So
we don't need to go this far. It's
no,
fine.
so the mother, the daughter was dressed up, and him, and it just looks so cool going down the pathway. Because the original pathway is right there where the soldiers actually walked. So we're all standing on the main path that the people use today, hiking the mountains. And I set up a trigger object on that. And being an empath, I come back out, and I felt like something attached to me. And I didn't say that. I didn't want to scare nobody. So we're just starting to ask questions, and I felt like someone was right there. And what it felt like to me is like a young soldier that was shot, he came to me. And so we're investigating. I told her, I says, I know we've only been here like 10 minutes, but I got to get out of here. And so everybody's like, oh, wait. So they wanted to hear. So I'm walking, and I knew there was a restroom up there. So I had to go to the restroom, and they're all standing out in the parking lot, and I threw up. I was like, I need water. And I said, I can't get this vibe off of me. So I told her, I said, we got to go. We got to go back to the hotel. I was like, I'm done. I'm sorry, guys. I got to go. And it literally, I got into the shower when we got to the hotel, and I cleansed myself. And, you know, when we say cleanse, I tell people just to close your eyes and breathe in all the white, bright light, and exhale out of your mouth the dark energy. Just do that 3 times, you'll feel a relief. And I felt this boy, like he wanted to show me what had happened to him. Now, this was 2021.
Mhm.
Yeah, and this Civil War time, and I'm like, this is crazy. So finally, about 4:30 in the morning, I started feeling myself again.
I had to pull over 2 or 3 times on the way
Oh, yeah.
from
And I had a
park
brand
to
new
our
car,
hotel.
my brand new car, and I was like not wanting to get it messy, and I'm like, I got to
Right.
step outside.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said that someone hasn't pulled over for me to vomit.
Absolutely.
But it's never been because I was an empath. I assure you.
You had a lot of spirits flowing through.
there was. Yes, there was. There was.
Yeah.
It's funny. I say that I've actually never vomited from. Actually, I don't know if I guess. I've never vomited from alcohol.
Oh,
Now,
lucky.
you know,
Yeah, you're like,
something else, different story. And I had new rugs, and it pissed me off. I'll tell you what. Oh man, I wasn't ready for that. So,
always when I'm drinking, I always say if I'm going to drink clear, I'm staying clear.
right.
I'm not going to jump the fence. And then, you know, you've always got that friend's like, hey, you want to try this new bourbon? Oh, man, no. But then you do anyways because you're already drunk.
Okay, so we're a bourbon person, right?
No, I'm a tequila person.
My man. There you go.
That's what we-
Yeah.
A friend of mine. So when I'm not in drag or doing my day job, I also own a plant and reptile company because ADHD. We do too many things. I had a friend of mine. Well, I say a friend of mine. We used to work together, but friends on Facebook and whatnot. But she bought a bearded dragon from me for her kid, and when she came, she had called me one night, and I was sitting down watching a movie, and I said, oh honey, I've had a little bit of tequila in me, but I can answer your questions. And then 2 days later, she comes to pick up the bearded dragon from me. She brought me a whole bottle of tequila.
Well, that's
1800
nice.
thing of 1800. I was like, oh my god. So, but yeah, tequila. We're
And
on the same page.
And we always drink pickle juice with ours.
You had me, Lee. We were friends. We were on the same wavelength. I was an empath in this moment until
Now you're gone.
until
Yeah,
you
pickles,
mentioned
you're like, eh.
until you said pickle juice in your tequila.
Yeah. Not in it. Just chase it with it.
Chase it.
Oh, because you're doing shots of tequila.
Yeah.
See, I do a shot of tequila into a glass of orange juice with some grenadine.
Okay.
I would try that.
Oh, it's a tequila sunrise.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I would
It's
try
not-
it.
Have you not had tequila
It sounds
sunrise?
healthy. No,
Oh, yeah. I've had them.
I've not.
They're good.
Patty,
I know.
you haven't gone to a gay bar, clearly.
Not enough. No.
Well,
Apparently not, because if
I
you go
tell
with
you,
me-
I tell you what, whatever the blue drink is at Ode Street,
Oh God, Old Street Saloon. Oh, I love Old Street.
Yeah.
this one, she goes, I don't think they put alcohol in that.
Oh no, the blue. No. Oh, so I have not vomited from alcohol, but the last time I did a show at Old Street Saloon, my friend Lene, before she had moved to Colorado, had to drive me home. I got so drunk that like in the car, I got in the car and I'm fully in drag, and I'm like, this is exhausting, blah blah. I end up like I take off my boobs, I take off my dress, I just sit the dress on top of me, so I'm in my underwear in the passenger seat of my own car, and we end up going through the McDonald's drive-thru, and then we get home, and I mean I'm so out of it. Luckily, did not vomit, but I got out of the car, I have a McDouble in my hand, I leave the dress, and I ran from my driveway into my house in my underwear. And I was probably 25. Like, this wasn't a story from when I was 19 or 21. Old Street will get you. That's a good, cute little honky-tonk gay bar from the 70s that hasn't updated a darn thing, and they don't need to.
They don't need to because they got the flow.
And that light-up floor.
I love the floor.
We have so much fun in there.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Do you guys go there often?
Not often.
We haven't been...
It's been a couple years.
It's been a year.
We went I wanted to go for my birthday. There was a show, and I'm like, I want to go to the drag show.
Yeah. Well, now that I am, and if you saw the news, I'm recently unemployed in the drag scene. Well, not really. I get more shows and whatnot, but to work at Old Street, you have to call the show director, who's this lovely 60-year-old drag queen who does not text, who does not use Facebook.
Oh.
So if you want to be booked by her, I have to call her with my calendar. She has to answer and also have her calendar. And that's a lot of stress. But when I get that energy to do that and get on the books, I'll immediately text you.
Oh, absolutely.
And be like, hey, me and Lee going to have some blue juice. Patty, you driving home. You know?
We could do tequila with that.
Yeah, there you go. There might be I don't know what's in there.
What's in there.
It's good, though.
Yeah, it's good. Because that's what you go to all the time.
Yeah, because I don't like beer. I like sweet things. I like stuff that tastes good. So.
Exactly. I don't do beer. Oh. But comes in to talk about ghosts. I'm like, oh, well, drinks and alcohol. No.
It's all part of it.
Well, us even going to drag shows is your fault anyway.
Well, no, you got to think of this. We're talking about alcohol. We're talking about ghosts, okay? We all go in. Here are some of the things that I've realized back in the day when I started doing this. Oh, don't use Ouija boards. People pounding here. Do not use a Ouija board. It's bad. Well, we've got a friend that actually has a Ouija board museum in Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, that's cool.
And he was at an event we were at in Gettysburg. And he goes, hey, I'm looking at your website, and I noticed you have right there, no Ouija boards, you got it crossed out. And I'm like, yeah. I said, he goes, well, what's the difference than the stuff you're using digitally? I was like, I don't have an answer for you. He goes, exactly. You turn that piece of equipment on. It's battery operated. You set it on the floor. You set it on a table. You're asking the same questions that people with the Ouija boards are doing. Gotcha. What's the difference? And immediately I went to my website and I took that off of my website.
Yeah.
Because
because for me, like I know I've messaged you before and be like, y'all, how fun would it be to do an investigation? I'm with y'all in full ass drag.
I'd be fun.
And, it would be obnoxious.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows it could happen. But what was I talking about? What were we talking about?
Especially like in a brothel.
Ouija boards.
Or a jail.
Yeah. But like talking about like doing that or doing like I've never in my head been like, oh, EMF readers, creepy, or that's the term that's in my head. That's why I keep saying.
And that's what it is. That's what they're basically picking up. Is EMF is an electromagnetic field.
Right.
It's just picking up static.
Right. But basically, like, just what you said, Ouija boards have always given me a hard. If there's a Ouija board, I go, time for me to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But well, you've seen The Exorcist, I'm sure. You know,
right?
I mean,
right.
That I think is the driving
force.
Or
the show Ouija. There was
what is it?
There's two or three of those shows out.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've probably seen every horrendous horror movie that's came out in the past 40 years at this point. So Ouija boards, I'm like, you know what? We don't need that. Right. But as soon as you're like the other equipment, just what you said, I'm like, oh yeah, that's normal.
Right. It just feels.
It's better. Like a cell phone, right? I mean, there's apps on your phone that you can use for paranormal, and we use a couple that does not use any part of the device. It doesn't do notification through your phone, so it's just strictly its own thing. Mm-hmm. So that's the ones that I trust. So people say, hey, can I download an app? Sure, but here, let me tell you what to look for.
Because if you look up Ghost app on the
you're going to get that like ghost radar thing.
You get a billion different things.
Yeah, and you're going to be like, oh, there's something walking in the room right now.
Right.
And that's just for entertainment.
Yes.
But yeah, Ouija boards, it's the same. But You know, what I have been thinking too, and I've been doing it the past 10 years, is before we go to an investigation, if it's not a residential, if it's just a fun investigation where we're like, I don't know, jail or asylum or something,
Right.
I will have several beers before I go to the investigation. Because if you ever watch the show Destination Fear, it's four kids that they go out and to these locations. They're not true paranormal investigators, but they overcome their fear. And so putting me from a normal not drinking to the next level drinking,
Abnormal.
yes, you're opening more doors.
Gotcha.
And it's fascinating because, you know, just like you said, it's a trigger. Just like you said, if you walked in full drag, and let's say we were at a jail, no jail. Oh my God, the activity probably would go skyrocket.
I think we should test that theory. Are you down?
That'd be a fun one.
Okay. We should do it sometime.
I can't wait to be called the F slur on an EMF reader or on a
the
Ouija board.
I got the perfect place. Old Blackford County Jail.
The
Over
old
in-
Blackford County
in
Jail.
Indiana. Yeah.
Man.
It's
In
about an
warmer
hour
weather.
and a half from here. Oh, yeah.
All right. Eric, we're going mobile. Get the camera.
Heck yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, that'd be. We'll talk. Well, I think there could be some. I mean, whether it's just good content
Exactly.
or who knows? I mean, who knows? Because I mean, truly, like, whether it's politics today or politics 40 years ago when someone died in a jail.
Exactly.
I am definitely currently a very triggering person.
Yes. Yes, you are.
I said, pew, pew, pew. No.
So I was like, even at a brothel or something, so many locations we go to, like in Ohio and Indiana, that are, it's amazing that they are brothels.
Right.
They were a brothel at one time. And I'm like, this is crazy. Because you don't see that stuff anymore.
Right.
And it's just like, oh yeah, let's go up on the third floor and let's just see let's do a little provoking.
Right.
See if we can stir something up. And then you have that person going, something's touching my leg. And I'm like, well, pay her. I mean, come on.
There you go. Anything to make this whorehouse a whore home.
That's
all I'm
right.
saying. That's all
Help
I'm
her
saying.
out.
No, for sure.
She needs another shot.
Right. Well, for I know we're going to kind of start wrapping up.
Sure.
For the billions of viewers here, where can they find you?
Well, you can find us on Facebook, ParaVizionz Paranormal Society. That's Z's instead of S's. You can also find our podcast. We do a podcast called All Things Creepy with Ghostly Travels. That Ghostly Travels is Patti and I when we do things outside of our team. That's on Facebook. And we also are on YouTube. That's where we put all of our pods. And you can find us at ParaVizionz Paranormal Society at YouTube. That's the best places.
Gotcha. And I'll make sure we'll put all those links and stuff in our little bio. That way you can easily get around. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe for everybody.
And I'll do the same. I'll share it.
Of course. I would expect nothing less. As I pull up a gun. No.
Better.
No.
You better subscribe.
Well, and something that I'm starting to really do, because I mean, my name is Roxy Democracy, so I care about government, politics, the world at large, and I want you guys to know that when I do my inevitable hostile takeover of the U.S. government, it's happening. It's going to happen, guys.
Okay.
Good.
I'm going to find you guys a position in my cabinet. I think you guys could just be directors of Ghost.
Oh, yeah.
Or just, I was thinking directors, what's the Secretary of Transportation?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just kind of like.
Something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys
I can also take care of the aliens that we supposedly have somewhere. So.
My departments of, like,
Department of the Unknown.
Department of the Unknown. There we go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
I like
Headed
it.
by Patti and Lee.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Just know that if you guys say anything bad of me between now and that time, I will have you executed.
So if the Men in Black come knocking on our door,
Yes.
oh my God.
See, the D in Roxy Democracy stands for dictatorship.
There
And
you
people don't realize that, and I mean it.
Yeah, I thought it was
I don't
something
mean
else.
it.
But,
You meant something else.
but
No pun intended.
right. But on that note, that is all the time we had. Join us, I would say next week or next 2 weeks. This is a new podcast. I'm very inconsistent. Fuck you. It doesn't matter. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you follow our friends here, and stay tuned for the next episode where we will have other people.
Someone else.
Yeah, someone else will be here.
We always say before we leave, always keep looking into the unknown.
Oh, there you go. That's trademarked, I think.
Yeah,
No.
hashtag.
All right, everyone wave. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
We did it. Hi, friends. It's I, Roxy Democracy, reminding you to like and subscribe to the Democracy Report on YouTube. And follow me on all my socials at Roxy Democracy on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and who knows what's next. Anyways, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.